that other people feel it deep inside. And that's really what we're trying to get through here with Almighty Zeus, because we know that one of the world's most fundamental truths is anime titties, and we want to share that with you, viewer.
We know.
Random viewer at home.
Random viewer at home.
Hey.
You gotta like that. Come on,
Hey.
guys. We gotta still get up.
So we want to teach y'all our dance. We have
Sometimes
we gotta shift
you
a
just
little
gotta
bit
look
to the
shorty
left.
in the face and say,
There we go. Come
Yo,
on.
things is thangin'.
We all hit. All right,
Respectfully.
right.
Anime titties.
Big round thing.
Won't you put it in my face with them anime titties, anime titties.
Watching them sway, really brightening my day with the
Spot, blur spot.
Yeah.
Blur spot.
Yeah.
If you are a New York weave and don't know what to do,
What else?
pull up to Blur Spot and find out some good news.
Okay.
Blur Spot.
Hey.
Blur Spot.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Messiah from TheBlerdSpot, and here with my co-host.
Ron to Riches, the one and only. Thank you. Appreciate you for allowing me on the show and the platform. Thank you.
Always, man. And here we have 4 very special guests, very big anime community, and you know who they are.
We are If the Shoe Fits.
What it do?
What's poppin'? What's
Good to be here.
So I'm really excited to have y'all on here. So thank y'all for coming out.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Always. So we'll get into it. So again, y'all are forced together in a group. What actually got y'all into anime and music specifically?
I think those are like 2 different things. So for anime specifically, I think for us, like we're millennials, you know what I'm saying? So like we have the trajectory a lot of other people have had where we kind of came into anime without even knowing necessarily what it was off like the 4Kids TV, you know what I'm saying? Like Pokemon doesn't initially register as an anime when you're just watching it along other cartoons. Same thing with, and it's dubbed. Same thing with Yu-Gi-Oh, you know what I'm saying? But then it wasn't until like a little later on where we're watching things on Toonami where it's like, okay, this is really what it's about. Like Dragon Ball Z feels like a very distinct thing. Yu Yu Hakusho feels like a very distinct thing. Bobobo feels like a very, very distinct thing. You know what I'm saying? So as far as anime, that's kind of the through line for what got a lot of us into it.
Yeah, it was our childhood. Like we were watching those things. We were playing Yu-Gi-Oh. We were buying the fake Yu-Gi-Oh cards from like the beauty supply shops, like spinning Beyblades. Like that's what we really grew up playing stuff, and like really what we played when we were kids in high school is Naruto Storm 4. That was like a big game for us when we were in high school.
Oh yeah,
played that a ton, just hanging out. So it fostered not only just like something for us to connect to, but a relationship, our community itself, by just kind of giving us something to watch together and also play. So
That's fine.
There was also like the tie-in of merchandise, whether it was like video games that you would play, and then they turned that into a TV show, like with Mega Man specifically, the Battle Network series. I used to play those on the Game Boy Advance, and then the TV show came out, and I was like, oh, this is fire. I didn't know that was anime, but I was rocking with it. Similar story like we were saying with Pokemon and with Yu-Gi-Oh! And Beyblade and Metabots, like whatever thing there was. They even used to have the little toys and like the Happy Meals, like they had for the first Pokemon movie, they had like the special golden cards and stuff like that. I didn't know that was anime. Wanted all of them, So it was little things like that would hook kids in, and then before you knew it, you were an otaku.
yeah, same thing with like Sonic Adventure 2. Like that was a big game for me. Shout out Chow Garden.
Yep.
And then at a certain point we had Sonic X that came out, and that was just like a huge moment. I still to this day, like if you play the intro, I think I remember word for word. Don't test me on it. At a certain point, it's just like it's something I remember. So I really enjoy just that being a part of like us growing up, because not only was the music fire, but also the experience was something of value. Like Naruto taught us stuff. My #1 series, Gurren Lagann, taught me stuff. My drill is a drill that'll pierce the heavens. Like sometimes that is stuff that I think to this day when I need like some inspiration. So it's like as an adult, you still kind of like think back to that. So not only was it like a great experience, like an outlet, but it's something that like we still live by to this day. That's why we go to cons and like make anime music, because like, I guess the swag hasn't really dropped. The quality of it really hasn't dropped.
I mean, but since you're talking about that, one of y'all want to talk about how we sort of clicked up and started making music. That's answer the second half of that question. we gonna get it. We gonna get it.
Yeah. It was kind of like a serendipitous situation, right? I think all of us came from musical backgrounds, like whether it was through our family or through our own personal like choices, like we all kind of like had our different like play-ins and where we were interested in music and like developing it. And I think one of the earliest times is that I was doing some spoken word at the time. Rob was heavily digging into like different types of like rap cores. And when walking home, I was like, yeah, I want to get into rapping. Rob was like, oh, I want to get into rapping too. And Rob, quick action, bought a set to like record. And then we quickly started like recording at his house. And then we were making music for a time at his house. Then Nkosi started coming over. Then we were doing freestyles. And then we then kind of like made one project, which is called something that we will not name here. But
it's very deep in the crates. Like y'all can't. It's out there on the internet in the world, but we will not give you the roadmap to finding it. It's very challenging.
Exactly.
Please no.
You never want to find tweets from when you're 14. But at a certain point, we started making music together. We enjoyed the process, and we were like, man, let's keep doing this. So that was, I think, what, sophomore year that was?
Give a year. Nobody knows.
Yeah, whatever. It was a year. And then a year later, we dropped another project. And then senior year, we dropped another project. And then when we graduated, we still were doing music stuff. So like he dropped a project in school. He dropped a project when it was college. I was making beats the whole time. Like, and at a certain point, we all kind of still were connected to music. But when we graduated, we were like, man, like, although we have these 9-to-5 paths kind of figured out, we really wanted to make something more of ourselves outside of like just the rigmarole of kind of having like a vocation, like a job that you live by. So what we started to do is we were like, hey, let's sit down and really like come together and make a true group. And what happened is that during the time, Nkosi was actually or Catharsis was actually he was doing an internship at a production company. And when he spit the production company his music, they actually wanted him as a signee. So then he pulled the clutch snafu and he was like, nah, you got to sign me and my guys. So basically put us in the door where like all of us then had the potential to kind of show ourselves. And then we rebranded to If the Shoe Fits, and the rest is history.
Man, that's nice. So going back to the child anime, right?
Yeah.
So a special story that my best friend Josh used to do. So every Saturday, Shaman King. I'm not sure y'all remember Shaman King.
Hell, that was
Shaman King. All right, so every Saturday morning after Shaman King came on, we said, hey man, we're gonna meet in the yard, gonna bring our own stick, and we're gonna pretend, who's the spirit.
Who remember
it? I got a real stick.
That's it.
But he brought a broomstick out, but he chopped me, the broomstick, the stick broke. Broomstick hit me, then I'm on the ground laid out.
Serious, man.
He said, my spirit is stronger than yours, dog. I was like, ain't no way, dog.
See, the thing is, he set you up for the perfect character arc. You're the underdog, bro. He was doing this to prepare you. I hope you lived up to that moment.
I did, man. I laid on the ground. I started crying, right? He came outside with barbecue chips. Hey, man, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying?
I would watch this anime. What's happened?
Hose water was all we needed as kids.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's back to that small little story. But next question here. So what are y'all some challenges that y'all faced as a group, and how did y'all overcome those challenges?
First of all, we hate each other.
That was kind of the first one, because like we came together and was like, all right, let's make music together. And then very quickly we're like, oh, I forgot I don't like y'all. So that was it was an awkward thing at first. You know what I'm saying? But if you stick with anything, you can sort of figure it out,
It's for the bag.
Yeah, that's a lesson. That's a lesson.
No, do y'all have one? I have one, but y'all go ahead first.
I think, okay, I'll take it way back. I think the very first challenge we had, actually, and it's extended for a little bit, is we were like, okay, we decided to be a group, so that means we have to make music together. And that was actually something we hadn't really done. Like, even though we had made music together, we had like made projects together, before we became a group in like 2017, there was no song that had all of us on it. There was no song that all four of us sat down and like lent our creative energy to.
Yeah.
In order to come to a product. So that was the first thing we had to do, was figuring out like what that looks like. You know what I mean? Like, how is there going to be space for all of us on a song? Like, and I mean that both in terms of like creative space, but also like physically, because it's like, it's 4 people. That's a lot of time on a track. Like, so even into like a year or 2 later, we were making some songs, like we have some songs from way back in the day that are like 6 minutes long. Because if you make a song that's like, the hook is like 30, 45 seconds and 4 guys, and if 4 guys each get 16 bars, like that song's gonna be long. And we had to figure out like, how do we make this make sense? Because we do want everybody on it. We do want everybody to input creatively, but it just can't be this long. So a way that we kind of worked around that, and something that we do to this day, is like, we'll just cut it in half. Like, you don't get a 16, you get 8 bars. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll fit the 8 bars however they fit. Sometimes it's back to back. Sometimes it's scattering them in different parts of the track. Sometimes it's, okay, this person's just going to be on the hook. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to them needing a verse. Sometimes it's, this person's going to do an intro. You know what I'm saying? So being able to like work around each other and sort of maximize it. You know, there's 4 people. There's a lot of energy that we could play off of each other. So it's like, use that, you know what I'm saying? And use it effectively, and make sure that people don't drag it on too long, because a 6-minute song is crazy.
Hence the name If the Shoe Fits. And also it helps sharpen our pen, you know? Like, I think given the lack of space that you have to write, you have to become sharper with 8 bars than you would with 16. I mean, even when we were talking offset with these games, that's 2 bars. So at a certain point, even though you're getting 8 bars of space, you have to make sure that each 2-bar hits like a 16 would, so somebody understands, so you're not just filling with fluff. Because, I mean, I'm not going to like call out rap or anything. I would hate to do that in the interview. I know a lot of people do like, oh, these rappers ain't doing this. But like,
But they aren't.
I think a lot of times some people have great, it's like building a house around a golden faucet, right? And since we are classic hip hop guys, we really care about every single bar that we write from the top to bottom. Like, although we might have a great gimmick in the middle that we love, like we wouldn't want to have it where it's like, this is the great spot and then the rest of it is just filler, you know? So working with less time, like we really had to get right, you know? But yeah, go ahead.
I would say another challenge that we faced was definitely performing, because like, you know, okay, so there are 2 parts to this. The first part is that from a technical standpoint, if you have 4 dudes on stage, we're going to ask for 4 mics. For the first few years that we were performing, we did not have 4 mics.
Oh, wow.
People would promise, like, yeah, we're going to have 4 mics for y'all when you pull up. The day of we get there are only 2 mics. And there are 2 wired mics. As for wireless mics, because we like to jump around and you know, do laps on stage and stuff. You can't really do that with wired mics. So we had to get very crafty. And there were certain songs like Virgil Hawkins, bit of a deep cut, but like when we performed that with only 2 mics, and it's like a, you know, 2 bars here, maybe 1 bar there, something like that. Like we're damn near tossing the mic from one person to the next so that, you know, you make a solid performance. But the second part is that in order to perform some of these songs, we need to get creative, because all 4 of us wouldn't be available for each set that we're doing. So maybe we're having one person do another person's hook, or we're cutting a song short, or we're doing like half of one song and half of another. So like we just had to get very creative very early on in order to make things work. And it's kind of funny, like looking back on it, because all of those things did help us, right? It did make us better performers. But, you know, at a certain point, I would have preferred to not have those.
It made me think of the time we were performing out in Huntington in Long Island. Nkosi couldn't perform at a spot before, so I had to memorize his verse for White Tee, one of our songs that's on all platforms now. So basically what happened is then the next and it was actually great because we did that performance, and I think that was one of the performances that we actually got connected to a person who then got us on the Barclays stage, the National Coliseum stage. So like we make do, even though we don't have a full team, we can still make it feel like there's 4 people there, but it has effects, right? So the next performance, it's my verse for White Tee, and I start rapping his verse, and like just off instinct, and I'm like, fuck, and I have to like switch off and everything, and we figured it out in a moment, but it's still kind of just like those, because you have to fill in for someone else, then you have other things that might seep in, and you have to relearn like doing this and this and that, and also even just what he was talking about with the dancing around, like some people just enjoy it, like seeing us Virgil Hawkins like tossing the mics around, doing spins and backflips over each other. Maybe but like
we got backflips. Yeah, we got backflips. You got it. Yeah, come out if you want to see it live. You gotta come out. Yeah, pop out.
Yeah, it was a whole mess.
No, it wasn't a mess. It was a beautiful, organized learning experience that we were able to grow from. Never a mess. Never.
So, all right. So, artist development, right? A lot of artists nowadays, they skip the process, right? And they don't actually realize the people who actually has longevity in the game that's still relevant today, they actually did the artist development behind the scenes. So how important is that to the new up-and-coming artist or someone who's aspiring to be an artist?
I'm going to say it like this, man. We had to do our training arc. We were told to write what we were told it would be the best 16s of our lives, walk in front of the World Trade Center and just rap for strangers. Just do the best you can. And if you mess up, you try again and you would again and again and again. We're rapping on subway cars. We're rapping on porches for people. Like, just to conquer any kind of stage fright, to do away with the difficulty of transitioning into an on-stage persona, to learn how to be captivating, to learn how to really master your craft of how do I captivate an audience? How do I engage an audience? How do I become a person who can be theatrical and really turn a place up, you know? So like I think that part of development is sometimes skipped, but like it pays off because there's nothing better than going crazy on the stage and the crowd's going crazy with you, and it's an energy that can't be matched. So there are a lot of parts, I would say, to like artist development, and we kind of touch on pretty much everything. So our executive producer, he's a real like old school like kind of hip hop dude. So when we first connected with him, he was like, nah, the thing y'all need to be doing is like just write these 16s, you know, similar to what Rob was saying. He was like, just write these 16s because you need to get in the habit of being able to, you know, continuously write things that are really, really good, but also you got to download it, memorize it. So anytime, like if somebody asks you just spit a 16, like you just got one in the Rolodex, you just flip through your mental catalog and you just have these. So he would just have us write 16s on 16s on 16s, some like classic hip hop beats and stuff like that. And for us, we had an interesting trajectory because we actually, back in the day, we were performing a lot with like no music out. Like, so we kind of like debuted as a group. We dropped our first song, Aphrodite, on SoundCloud, and then we dropped like one or two more. Homewords, yes. Yeah. I don't even know if there was
all on SoundCloud.
All on
SoundCloud platforms. We didn't drop that.
Yeah, we wasn't doing that just yet. So we did that, and then there was no other we were working on music, but we were working with our executive producer to be able to like get it out on all platforms and then have like put it together for a project, have a rollout for it, But we were still performing at a super high clip. So it was to a point where we were just performing sets of entirely unreleased music. And people are like, where can we find this music? And it was like, it'll be out. It'll be out eventually. That was our catchphrase, out soon. Like we were just saying that for mad long. Eventually, you know, release some of the songs, but sad to say, like we had a lot of experience actually doing performances that people would not necessarily have gotten like at that point. Cause you know, you do hear a lot of situations where people like have a song that blows up and then they get put on like Lollapalooza and they've just never performed anywhere before. And then it's like, oh, their performance was bad. And it was like, yeah, cause their team never had them practice or like put them on a smaller stage before they got there. We kind of had an inverse kind of problem or a situation where we were just doing so many performances before we even like started releasing music. So by the time we got to a point where it's like, hey, we're performing this that you can go listen to after this, and we get to the point where now people are listening to songs, they come into our performances already knowing the songs. It's like, we already know how to perform. We're already privy of like how to put on a show, like Rob was saying. And it's a thing that we do work on. You know, we meet a few times a week and we try to do rehearsals like once a week. Like we try to add a real polish to everything so that when we're on the stage and we want to improvise, we have like our base of like, okay, we've done these rehearsals, so we know where we need to be and how we need to do stuff. So anything extra we want to add on to it, perfectly fine. Like we'll be able to move with those punches. So in terms of the development, like we try to touch on all areas, like artistically, both with performance and like coming up with ideas. As Grant said before, we definitely try to challenge each other, because it's like, listen, I'm sitting next to 3 dudes who know how to rap, you know what I'm saying? And we try to put everybody on every song. If there's ever a situation where I don't come hard on a song, they're going to body me on the song. And now everybody just gets to see that. You know what I mean? So I just don't need that. I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to really try and put my best foot forward every single time. And there have been so many, y'all, I don't know what they're doing over there, but they're
just proud of us, bro.
Yeah, it is crazy, because like there have definitely been moments where like they'll throw something up in the chat, like a link to like a Google Drive song that they did, and they're like, yo, take a listen to this, or like, here's my verse to this song that we're working on. And I just listen to it and I just sit there like, damn. All right. This is what we doing. I gotta either, if I've never had to rewrite nothing, because I'm just like that, but there have been times where like I'll like listen to something that they made before I write my thing, and I'm like, okay, I need to rethink how I start to approach this thing. It's like, if this is the bar we're setting for it, like I gotta come correct. And as a result, like we get some really, really good music. We get some really dope lyrics. We get some cool, Grant said gimmicks before, but I you can call them that, but like we get some really interesting sort of like spins and takes on tracks, you know, just off the strength of we're pulling from 4 different creative pools that work well together. You know what I'm saying?
That's fine. Yeah, I think there's like a plethora of experiences that we've like just garnered from being together, and also individually taking our own like journeys personally. So there's kind of like a hand-washing hand experience where we'll all go out on recon through our own experiences, come back, share things with the squad, inspire everyone else. Then other people go out, do the same process, and it's kind of like this Ouroboros effect that just keeps growing and nourishing all of us, where it's like a very healthy competition, you know? Like at a certain point, I know a lot of people might be on a team and they feel uncomfortable, like, yeah, I don't want to do this or might do that. But like, I feel like in the space that we have been in, I feel quite comfortable sharing them, like even my personal stuff and like, you know, the group stuff very quickly. And even if it is just like some raw shit, like I don't need to always have like a verse or a full hook. Like I can like go, nah. You guys get the meme. Like fun fact, before Chow Garden came out, and I still have this saved, the hook for Chow Garden was nah, things gonna be okay. And right before we're in the studio, I wrote the actual hook to Chow Garden in the studio. Before then, Nkosi was like, yeah, bro, let's just have that be the hook. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a vibe. So and ultimately, it's just like, we're always kind of like pushing each other for better. And it's something that like refines all of us. And it does be like, oh shit, like this person stepped up. Like I got to step up. And it's not something that like, of course, it could bring like a certain sense of anxiety. But I love that because it's so closely connected to anime. Like whenever you see it, like think of Naruto with their 3. You take Yuno and Asta and Black Clover. Like there's always this friendly competition through childhood friends that like makes everybody better. So like luckily we don't have any villains. So it's just kind of like I was gonna say it probably is him. But like but at a certain point we feel very comfortable with where we're moving. But I wanted to say something in terms of artist development. I think the most important thing is that we care. Like we learn to care about the work that we do. When we're getting into it, you might care about the art. You might care about the process of like becoming someone, like the identity, the brand, and all that shit matters. Like I was the first person. I was like, yeah, we got to rebrand and do all this stuff. And like I had like a strategic brain early in terms of that. But when it comes to the art, that's what matters most. When it comes to seeing what the mistakes are, that's what matters most. So I think as we've grown, now it's kind of like we caught off stage and we're like, all right, what do we do? How can we get better? Like we're looking at our performances like it's game film, as opposed to looking at it like it's like we just did this performance, which makes things a lot more rich when it comes to like us growing, because it's not something that's like we're just throwing shit at the wall, you know? We have a tapestry of experiences and learnings that we have to build off of. So it feels almost like right now we kind of graduated college in a certain sense, like maybe like a year ago or 2 years ago, when we started dropping music on all platforms, consistently, or I would even say 2020. It's like it's been a good amount of time now. But like we've still to this day, like we've only dropped one EP. We haven't dropped an official album yet. So at a certain point, we're still very new in terms of even our development story of shit. We've been making music for 10 years. So that goes to show, like, from your point of view, like what you're talking about in terms of how long people are in the game. Like, we've been here signed to J10 since 2017. So that's still, what? I can't do the math.
7 years?
Yeah, about 7 years that we've been, like, making music, doing the stuff, rapping on the subway, performing at these different spaces before we've even gotten to a place of prominence. And we are connected to a lot of these places, but it's just like, at a certain point, is it the right timing? Are you refined? Because the thing that I know is that standing in the sunlight is tough, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're on, you only have a certain amount of time unless you can kind of have a bottle to keep that lightning that it works. So without that, you lose a lot of juice if you go in there too early. So shout out our executive team for making sure that we didn't get there premature, because they definitely could have done it, but it's just, will we have succeeded in that place?
Right.
We don't think so. So like ultimately it was the best path, even though it fucking sucks. I'm gonna be honest, like it was very uncomfortable for us because like
also the pandemic, you know, like that drastically slowed down our momentum.
And we wanted to put out music. Like right before the pandemic, we had a 14-track project that we were gonna put out. That was done. We spent years putting out this project. We are gonna put it out. It was all New York based.
That's what we were performing.
Yeah.
And when Candid was saying before that we do a lot of unreleased sets and stuff like that, all that music was on that project.
Exactly. But essentially what happened is the pandemic, and great segue, because what happened is that it kind of made us learn the second part of becoming a brand is building community. So in that moment, shout out our manager at the time, Chioma, because she actually put us on the app Clubhouse. And from there, we started building community for anime specifically, where she kind of like saw a great insight early on where she was like, there's a lot of rappers on here, but not a lot of rappers are talking about their love, and you guys should talk about anime on here. We were like, yeah, sure. So like the Kosi and I being trolls, we did our first room and it was DBZ is trash, prove me wrong. You know, like and yeah, that was a great room. We averaged 300 people for like 6 hours.
I love DBZ.
Yeah, like exactly. And a lot of people were pissed off and ready to defend the take. And the interesting thing is, what I noticed early is that it was mostly black people, black people with pages and platforms. And it was like, man, like, I really want to make something of this, because what we're hearing so often is people come in and be like, man, I've never had this before. Like, I've never done this. And like, I know I've been talking for a long time, but like, I feel like to pass the ball to someone, we got to tell them the story about then how we took that and then brought it to like in person, because we built that in 6 months from nothing to 45,000 members, you know? Wow. And then we took that online community and then turned it physical, while we also then said, you know what, even though we have this 10-track project, we're just going to drop an anime-based EP, Slice of Life, which has these games. And that's how we got here, you know? So it was very vicarious.
You got to break that down, though. Like, what's that process like doing it? That's a music business move.
Yeah.
Yeah, Catharsis, you want to?
Yeah, I'll start us off there. So we started the group Anime Anonymous on Clubhouse, and we hosted several rooms every single day. Shout out to Grant. He had like a whole framework schematic that like we worked off of at the time, and we had, you know, a core team, and then we had moderators, and folks were able to host rooms at a regular cadence. And that's really how we built up this this community at the time, because like Grant was saying before, people didn't have that before. So folks would come in, and on a regular basis, people would say, wow, this is like such a breath of fresh air. It's so refreshing to be in a room, in a space with people who look like me, who think like me, who have similar life experiences, and we all like this same thing. So we're able to talk about this for, I kid you not, hours on end. There were several instances where rooms were open for more than 24 hours.
Yep.
Nonstop. And it's a beautiful thing when you think about it. And so that's where the business stuff comes in, right? Because our executive producer, Ten, he was like, okay, we have this audience. Let's try to capitalize on it. Let's make a project that speaks directly to the things that they like, but using y'all and like using your music as a medium to do that. We're like, all right, cool, let's do that. And so that is where the Slice of Life project came from. It was, interestingly enough, a bit of a writing assignment in the beginning, because the first part was, we had to make a playlist of beats that we wanted to use. And then from that, we had to write songs to those beats. And then from that came the part where we had to sort of put our minds together and like add our spices, add our sauce to like whatever roughs another member made. Because it's not as though we were all sitting together in the same room writing these drafts at the same time. This was literally during the pandemic, you know? So like we had to do this on our own and then come together and like, you know, share a Google Drive link or share, you know, however we shared them, because to be honest, I don't remember 100% how we did it, but we did it. And that's the important.
Shout out Google Drive.
Shout out to, you know, all the random Zoom calls that we had.
Fact.
All those things, and just to make it happen. And so in 2022 is when we really start to hit the ground running in terms of bringing the community from the online space into real life. I think the first event that we did was Attack on Titan, actually.
Yes, so actually get into that. That's how I knew about the community. I always tapped in more to the indie community of like indie creators, comic creators.
Yeah.
But Bud posted the event. I was following Bud from college. Posted the event and with Hot Girl Anime and Anime Nay. And that's how I got tapped into the anime community in New York City.
And shout out Bedside Art House for real. Like really hope that they're able to, you know, get that space back and to be able to make it work. Cause I know that right now it's a sort of like transitionary period about what's going to happen next with them. But the event was at Bedside Art House.
Yeah.
You know, similar to how Break, you know, uses like their resources and everything to be able to allow people to do whatever like narrow or large interests they have. So that's a really interesting connection that you sort of like are able to bridge with that for sure.
Yeah. Also, shout out to you, Candid, because I think you had been on what I'm forgetting her name, but the woman whose podcast it was that like she brought us on to talk about Attack on Titan, and
That was Nay.
Nay.
Yeah.
Word. Okay, I was gonna say no. Nay.
Big shout out, Nay. Yeah.
Yes. Shout out to Nay. You are awesome. Keep doing what you're doing. But yeah, so he'd been on her podcast before, and then she wanted all of us to come on, and then we were there and we were talking about it, and we were like, yeah, you know, the season's ending soon, and I was like, yeah, like it'd be really cool to do something like in person, and she was like, yeah, if y'all are doing something, let me know. I'd love to be a part of that. And then she hits up the group page like a couple months down the line because the season finale had dropped at that point.
Yeah.
And she was like, y'all still trying to do something? And I was like, I did say that I wanted to do that. And that sort of, you know, lit the fire beneath my behind to, you know, really get the ball rolling on that. And then we came together and found a place and found partners to do it with and make it happen. And then literally from that event, it sort of snowballed into the next thing because shout out to Banter Events and Stephanie.
Yeah.
They expressed interest in wanting to do, also shout out to Land Party, expressed interest in wanting to do something.
Yeah.
And that's how we did the Demon Slayer movie.
OS, yeah.
Stream with OS.
I got tickets because I wasn't at event.
Yeah, we it was like we raffled off tickets.
Yeah, it was
prize for something.
That was a prize for like a anime trivia.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was. So like literally from one event to the next, like it just continued to grow and grow and grow, and that's how we activated on that anime, like that New York City specifically anime scene.
To tell you how deep it goes, fun fact about this, I'm streaming full time at the time, right? And I'm building community myself in terms of these are people from Clubhouse because we stopped doing it at that time who are still looking for a third space. So some people kind of dispersed like the Dragon Balls to Twitter spaces. Some people went to Twitch. And, you know, people now from Twitter spaces are getting into Twitch, but there were people who were there early on, like maybe a year or two before that, right? And what was dope is that through communicating with people and connecting people from New York in my Twitch channel, I told them about the Demon Slayer event. They then all show up. And then those people then created another community, a group that started doing stuff at that event, We Nerd NYC. So at a certain point, it's kind of like from the things that we did, we then started to see that like even in the lapse of space that we left when Clubhouse kind of dissipated, that other people started to make third spaces. So it kind of made this domino effect that like even though it was something that like really, to be honest, wasn't really like something that was intentional, but it was something that had heavy implications in terms of building communities thereon. So like shout out to a ton of different like podcasts that exist here on Spotify or on Twitter Spaces that are literally just direct remnants of like Clubhouse not being a thing anymore, and people still wanted to kind of conjoin together. So like ultimately we really love that, because it's not something that like we force, right?
Yeah.
It's something that happens just off of the vicarious process of like, we're bringing people together, we're making safe spaces, and we're making spaces that are connected on the pillars that we all connect to, like art and anime and to video games, because those spaces always have video games connected. And through that, I mean, also we're all Black. So like, it really comes down to just like, we fit a need that we didn't know existed, which then quickly turned into us saying, you know, instead of us doing our own spaces, we got to start getting into these conventions that exist, because we knew about them, but we never really were at New York City Comic-Con. We weren't really at Anime NYC like that until we started to get into the game. Shout out our business manager, because he actually hooked us up with Brooklyn Comic-Con. Y'all gotta, the first ever Brooklyn Comic-Con. Y'all gotta stop playing with us, Brooklyn Comic-Con. We're trying to perform there again. They've ducked us since then, I'm gonna be honest. But I'm so loud with it, because at a certain point, talk about the whole situation with the two mics. We had two mics there, and we're on a wrestling mat, and we still crushed it. Had everybody their hands up doing the spirit bomb and everything, and we enjoyed it. But so the thing is, like, we love being at these spaces where people kind of like connect through these different interests. So then we started going to Anime NYC. Then we started going across the country, and we went to Anime Expo in LA, and we're doing performances at after parties and things like that. But also we have an event that we now do with Toasty Marshmallow called We Mingle, that now has legs, that we then basically started to run as a panel at these conventions. So basically, like, we started to do this thing and realized the true insight is like, a lot of these people don't really know how to communicate with each other. A lot of people who love anime and video games are part of a neurodivergent community, me included. So when it comes down to like people finding a space to socialize, that's so integral to becoming a person that feels whole, you know? So we went to Anime Expo, and the whole time I had this weird pit in my stomach, because I'm like, I don't know how many people are going to show up. I don't know if you did too. And like at a certain point, we're sitting there, it's me, Toasty, Catharsis, and the doors open, and bro, I look down the hallway. It's this huge hallway. There's a line out the door. Like we packed out around the corner. We packed out, I think it's like a 300, 400 size room. Wow. It just off of the concept of weebs mingling, you know?
Like they were standing too, like all the seats were full.
Yeah.
And people like around the perimeter of the room, like they were trying to squeeze in just for the opportunity to be a part of what it is that we do. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
And like really, really quickly is like, you know, Grant keeps saying, you know, the term like third spaces, and like that is incredibly important, because it's like people have all of these interests, and like we are technically connected because of like the internet and globalization, but like there's no connective tissue with a lot of it. So like there isn't really a way for people to be able to make those connections. And like the interesting thing is, like for me personally, anime was just this thing that I would like watch with my homies, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't until honestly, like when we were doing the Clubhouse stuff, where I was like, oh, I didn't know how many people like really, really like this, that are like accessible. Because we met so many people off Clubhouse that were local, like to the New York tri-state area kind of thing. So the thing is, like, you know, the insight kind of behind, you know, bringing We Mingle different places is just that like cons, like that is a thing, that is a place. It feels like a third space that you could go to.
So for those who aren't familiar, can you explain what We Mingle is?
We Mingle. So We Mingle is essentially, what we'll do is, it's an event where people can sort of come together, and we'll have name tags for everybody, so people, you'll know what their name is, and just have a facilitated, like, kind of just, I don't want to say networking, because their connotation is a little different, but just facilitated, like, just, it's a mixer, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, socializing, like, you just get to talk with people. There's just a bunch of people who, by virtue of being there, you've confirmed they all have your same interests in anime. You know what I'm saying? And you got name tags, you can go around and talk to people. And what we do to sort of facilitate it is that we'll have questions up on a monitor that you can go around and ask people about. Icebreakers. So, you know, it's a little bit easier to have those conversations with people. And then also we put numbers on the name tags. So we rotate people based on the numbers that are there. So you're going to talk to different groups of people. You're not necessarily locked in with people. We're trying to get you to meet as many people here with your interests as possible. And then at the end, we'll break everybody up into different groups, do group trivia. There'll be a prize at the end of that. Sometimes it's just bragging rights, but you'd be surprised how excited people get about just having the bragging rights to say they won something. You know what I'm saying? And then if there's time, there's not always time at the conventions, but when we do it as its standalone event, we'll do Toasty will do karaoke at the end of it. You know what I mean? And we'll try to squeeze in like an If the Shoe Fits performance in there. You know,
actually, the reason we knew that Child Garden was finna be a banger is because I was like, y'all, let's drop the unreleased version of Child Garden that we performed it for the first time. And I remember to this day, like we dropped it and everyone immediately just started shaking their hips. And in that moment, I was like, yeah, we got him. We got him. We got him.
They don't got a clue in the world.
What's Lethal Shooter shit? I see it now. I understand it now. Facts.
That's what's up.
Yeah, so anime's been really good to us, and that's why like us going to conventions is like so important. And like honestly, past I think what you were getting at is just past us having conventions, like third spaces are more important and they need to be more frequent than that. Like I think even with the political climate of where we are right now, a lot of people are looking to take a step back from activism, but at a certain point, the most activism we can have right now is making community, making spaces of love that people can connect and actually better themselves. Because at a certain point, the closest thing you could have to a crutch is another man or another woman. So at a certain point, it's just like, or however you identify, to be honest. So like, it really just comes down to like making sure that we protect people in these spaces and we keep it coming commonly, because everybody gets kind of like burnt out, but we try to do it at least like once a month, every other month.
We'll try to get some. At minimum, we try to do stuff like quarterly at minimum, but it's been at a higher clip than that.
Gotcha.
Received you.
I know you talked about working with Toasty Marshmallow, and also recently with Sunset Bay. How did that came to be that collaboration with Almighty Zeus?
Oh, no, you could call it Lil Toasty.
Lil Toasty.
That's Lil T.
Lil Toasty with a beat, right?
To this day, I call her Lil T. That is her name.
Lil T?
That's her name.
Shoot, I'm crazy on the intro, right? That's a
Talk about it. Yeah. Talk about it.
Statement.
Doc Guac and all that. God damn. I'm on the subway like.
Hey.
But you know, it's funny you say that because we actually have the genius, the mastermind behind Almighty Zeus right here.
Oh yeah.
Here he is. Oh, man.
I'm going to talk about because they're all connected. Like,
All right, let's hear it.
So, Almighty Zeus, right? So Almighty Zeus, it was, this was a song off of our A Slice of Life EP. And as Catharsis had mentioned before, it was one that we kind of wrote all the ideas, the rough drafts for, like kind of siloed. Like we wrote them individually, threw all the rough drafts in a pot and figured out like what we want to do with each of them, narrow it down to, you know, something that we can work with and get a couple tracks for an EP. And I remember it really was like a writing assignment, as he said, because it was like, we had not really made music like that before. We have a song Ultra that's, you know, ultra interesting, you know, off of like Dragon Ball Z Goku, where we did make that song, you know, ahead of doing this endeavor of the A Slice of Life EP, but it was kind of like a one-off kind of thing that we did, like, you know, to sort of celebrate Dragon Ball, because we really love Dragon Ball Z. We didn't think about it that hard. It felt like a one-off thing, but now we need to actively and intentionally make songs that, you know, either very directly anime or like draw from that as inspiration. And it was a very interesting thing because I had never done it before. And I remember being like, all right, so what we're trying to do is reach for a commonality, right? Like we're trying to figure out how is it we can appeal to like everybody's common experience that we have with this medium that we really, really love and the lessons that it was able to teach us, right? So I'm thinking like in all of my time, like watching anime, what is really like the biggest lesson that I was able to draw from it in order to, you know, just make me a better person, like help with my goings on in life. And I was like, what's the thing that has been like the biggest, most powerful catalyst, like for driving me in my everyday life? And then it just kind of hit me. It's anime titties. Like that's the whole thing. It's always been anime titties. Like I was really thinking like, oh, it's like perseverance, like you're an underdog. It's being able to continue trying even when the chips are down. It's like, it's none of that shit. It's anime titties. And I was like, word. So like, that's what it is. That's the connective tissue. That's like the guiding light, the North Star on a full moon. Like, it's anime titties. So it was like, yeah, like, let's do that. So I was like, all right, word. So anime titties, big round things. Like, and then and that's the thing, like, we're all of one mind. So I sent it to them. They understood immediately. They were like, we know what we must do. We got to really lock in. And then just like, right out the gate, big boobies.
Always gotta move.
Always gotta move.
Hurry up, you gotta choose a movie.
On my last straw, I'ma eat it like a come on now.
You know,
they understood.
When I first heard the hook, and it's funny because he thought it was a joke. The reason why it's called Almighty Zeus, the full name is Almighty Zeus. The what? It's like Almighty Zeus.
It's like,
yeah.
I think it's like
a Yu-Gi-Oh
it's a Yu-Gi-Oh card at the time.
So he tried to pull the wool over, tried to throw the wool over our eyes by like throwing the name off, so we didn't know what the concept was. But as soon as I heard it, it was a seance, you know? It's not us just talking about, oh, we love anime titties. It's us manifesting anime titties. Like, if you put down some candles in a salt circle and you sing anime titties will appear in front of you if your intention is strong enough. Like, at a certain point, it's really about your beliefs and your inner desire to see anime titties. And I think that goes, one, as deep to anime as you can, two, as deep to hip-hop as you can, but also it's something as deep to your mind, to human spirit, to the soul as you can. You know what I'm saying? It's so important. That's so important.
So we dropped the song, right? we dropped the song, and Ten's like, you know what? We should do a remix to this song.
Yes.
And to be honest, I don't remember who the initial idea came from, but we were like, we can't have more niggas.
Oh yeah, that was me. That was me.
We can't have more niggas on the track foaming at the mouth rapping about anime titties. Let's get some women, let's get some femmes on this. Like, let's do that because they love it just as much as we do.
Yeah.
And Tim was like, yeah, absolutely. And so he was like, all right, I'm gonna leave it up to y'all to figure out who it is that you're gonna bring on board. And so we reached out to a few people. There was a lot of interest, well, maybe not surprisingly, because the song is a banger. People wanted to get involved, but they weren't able to make the studio session, right? Which is unfortunate, but other people were. I sent just a Hail Mary email to Toasty because she was just as large as actually, she's bigger now than she was like 2 years ago when we recorded it. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know if she's going to respond to this email, but like I saw that she featured on someone else's, rap song. And I was like, I know that she does features, so let's see how this goes. She responds almost immediately.
Oh, wow.
And is like, yeah, I'm down. I'd love to do it. I want to get more into this space. And so we had a writing session at the World Trade Center.
That's Shoeboy HQ.
Facts. That is Shoeboy HQ. And she was like, yeah, I like it, but I don't know how to do it. So you guys are going to have to write the verse for me. All right, cool. And she was like, there are certain things that I want to hit. Like, she wanted to have the bite of 87 in there from Five Nights at Freddy's.
Okay.
She wanted to name drop Corey Kenshin. She wanted to have Odd Taxi in there. But she didn't care how. She was just like, just fit it in there somehow.
And even on top of that, the first two bars that you hear of that verse are hers. She didn't come there empty-handed. She tried to write. So she had the, no, I got you. Bad bitch to a waifu. I could be a dresser down. All of that until, I'm just saying, that's all Toasty. She came in with that. We were like, oh, nah, it's fire. So I think immediately I was like, Sundere, Setutami came in. My hero is the one you saving. And then Nkosi was like, I'll be your Sailor Moon. It was very quick for us to like literally sit there with her just in World Trade. Like, we're just vibing out. I think we might have even had like some snacks or whatever. And we crushed that in like an hour 30 minutes, and it was something that, one, brought us closer to Toasty because we really didn't have that like rapport with her at the time.
Yeah.
But two, it really made us realize that like, that's a girl that loves art. Like, she's a anime phenom. She makes great content creation. But like, Lauren is an actor. She is an actress. She is a theater kid. She is a singer, and she's very good at it.
The classic.
So for the quickness that she responded, I think it really just is that like, although you might like for a deal like an activation, it might be like a price or a payment, but like all artists, you know, you hit them up for a certain collaboration, it pulls your heartstrings, you like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it, I'll make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So like it's really dope and that she did it, because shout out to her, like she didn't have to, and two, like she didn't know us from a stack of bricks at the time, but it really turned out to then us starting to do We Mingle together, just it created this snowball effect, because we did We Mingle after that, right?
Yeah, it was like
it was a snowball effect from when we started communicating with her that kind of made it what it is, our relationship what it is today.
And as some people may know, the We Mingle is like, it's a thing she was doing
On Twitch,
it's a segment on her stream.
it's like
it's
a little bit show proto.
Yeah, but it's a little bit different when the idea came to like, no, like this is a thing that can be done physically, as well as like expanded towards more people instead of like the one-to-one that Toasty has it as. So I don't know if everybody knew that, you know, like whomever's going to be listening that about it. But you know, and Sunzi.
Yes. So yeah, I was going to get into that too. So once again, shout out to Land Party, shout out to Greg, because he was the one who directly connected us with Sunzi. It was like, hey, I know this artist, she's dope, here's her music, you can check it out, I'm going to see if she'd be down to work with y'all. And she was. And shout out to Sunzi specifically because she made a round trip drive to New York City and back from DC that day to come to the studio.
Wow, crazy.
Yeah.
And when she came to the studio, we ain't help her write jack shit. We ain't have to help her too much with her verse. She came in there
already,
stepped on it and left. Like at a certain point, like I'm a big advocate for like I love to help engineer and like coach in the studio. So sometimes when it comes to getting what is a B+ performance to an A+ or SSS, if we're going like, you know, anime or like gave her Sonic the Hedgehog, like at a certain point to bring it to that level, you need people to kind of be like, yo, you could do it like this or that. What sounds more natural? What sounds better? That's what we were spending most of the time with Sunzi. But the foundation was there. She came in there and she was already from the first verse, from the first time, we were like, oh fuck. She was rubbing on the anime titties, ass real fat, but the waist on skinny. I was like,
y'all don't know. Like we was really in the studio. I don't
tripping
know
the fuck out, bro.
I didn't hear the verse before. Like I didn't know what to expect.
The thing is, I'm gonna be completely honest. I trusted Greg's vision in terms of who she was. Like I know Nkosi probably listened to her tracks, but I didn't. I was just like, yeah, nah. Like if they're cool with Greg, Kosi was cool with it, fine. She got into a studio, crushed it. Like I had no doubt that it was fire, but at a certain point, it exceeded my expectations in terms of like what it really was, because she came in there and crushed it. Like my favorite verse from there is what is it? Ice in his veins, think you cold, Sub-Zero. That is so cold. And the thing is, oh, now a bitch trying to copy, I better name Ditto. Like she came in there with
delivery was
like
crazy,
and the delivery was there. Like we told her, like all we need to do is tell her to go in more. Like she came in and you could tell like she had the style, but she was a little shy. We're like, nah, give it more, make it more sexy, like become more of a character. This and this now. Once she got comfortable, y'all hear it. Like she took over that, and it was really, really awesome.
Also, what was interesting about the whole experience with Toasty and Sunzi is that was our first collaboration.
It was
with other artists. I was trying to like really think if I am missing anything, like As If This Shoe Fits, you know, that was our first collaboration with other artists, and it was really great to be able to work with people who are that talented, where it's like and we got along with very well, like pretty easily, you know what I mean? So like there were no lulls in it, there was no like, it wasn't difficult really, it was just fun process top to bottom, and that was great. Really enjoyed that.
Got any last questions or anything?
All right, so I see you got the game color tattoo.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I was big on Game Boy Advance. You know, I was that kid who played the Game Boy Advance under the covers on your mom until you go sleep.
Hell yeah.
With a little lamp, with a little flashlight. You know what I'm saying? So what is your favorite Game Boy Advance or Game Boy Color game growing up playing for all y'all?
So Game Boy SP, it gotta be Pokemon Sapphire. It's Pokemon Sapphire to the starter Pokemon, to the show that was out at the time, and then also to the music. To this day is some of my favorite. Like I'm a big lover of water themes in music. We have a running joke where I made this term called the quambiance, that honestly, like it really is something that I connect deeply to, mostly Pokemon, because of like the lake themes and the ocean themes and like those kind of seafaring themes that kind of feel almost, sometimes it's a little bit like remnant of like 1930s music, but then sometimes in Legend of Zelda there's like a bossa nova theme to it, so it exposed us to like so many different styles of music. And also Pokemon taught me how to read, you know? So like I think just from a standpoint of getting me into RPGs, like that was so big for me. Like to this day, like I'm not like as big as Pokemon is right now with the trading cards and all that, but like the games mean a lot to me to this day, which is why I got this here. Shout out Gengar. I'm gonna get that next. Yeah.
I would say that my favorite, I'll start with Game Boy Color, because that was the first one that I had. It was the Power Rangers Time Force game, and that was fun. That was a lot of fun, because like the show was running at the same time that I got the game, so I was geeked to the point where I made it to the final level, and to this day I haven't beat it. But I remember you couldn't save the game.
Yeah, that's
Save the game.
I was about to say, that's how I know you're a sweat, because to get to the final level is crazy. Like, you can't
Write down the codes that they gave you.
Wow.
Like whatever boss battle or whatever chapter. So for those of you watching, if you ever want to just skip straight to the final level of the game, the code is PBT8.
Remembers the code.
I will never, as long as I forget.
Now you got to get that tatted.
You probably put that shit in so many times.
The thing is, like, I would play that.
Forgot about that. That's crazy.
And the battery died eventually. You know, because like that's how they powered them back in the day. Yeah. So I went on eBay a couple years ago and bought the game again. Still couldn't beat it. I don't know what the deal is.
You're not him, bro.
Game shoppers.
It's very hard. Like, those old school games are difficult. But in terms of like Game Boy Advance games, favorite is Mega Man Battle Network 3. Played that game more times than I remember. A classic in my eyes.
Metroidvanias, man. Can't go wrong. High key. You guys are really Game Boy guys.
Nah, my Game Boy got... Nah,
they're not Nintendo guys.
It was Game Boy SP, and it was actually Pokemon Ruby.
Yeah.
Real shit.
I did not know that.
Real shit.
Groudon, like in the first, like...
yeah.
It was my first time, like, really actually playing and committing to an RPG game, and I was like, this is tough. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So definitely, also, just the Quambiance. Yeah, I had, my favorite was Mudkip. That was my first,
yeah.
I still.
Just...
So yeah.
Real shit. Real shit.
Yeah, I was a loser on Nintendo. First of all, some of us were broke, bro. Like, some of us just didn't have money. Like, I'm so sorry.
When I first
just didn't have money.
I didn't have a memory card, so for the whole 2 weeks, for the whole, like, I think I beat the game in like 3 or 4 weeks, and I didn't turn off the PS2 the whole time. I hid it under it was hot, and I hid it it turned in a towel that I would keep cool with stuff, just so I could keep playing it. Yeah, bro. I think at a certain point, I almost got in trouble.
Why is this electric bill so high?
Because at a certain point, I think I left the TV on, and the Kingdom Hearts got burned into the TV at that time. Wow. Another issue in the big back TVs. Like, yeah, bro.
Can't be doing stuff like that.
No, I think going back to like the Game Boy situation, like, that's such a forgotten era. Like, we used to have attachments and shit for Game Boys. Like, bro, you used to be able to get everything from like a light to a switch, like
printer.
Like
silencer on it.
Yeah, you have a silencer, a green dot on your Game Boy Color, a switch. Like, you can get anything. Like, they had the magnifying glass. Like, bro, I now kind of it comes with everything. I kind of miss that, you know. Like, to this day, I still want to.
He's like, I miss being sold accessories. If only they would sell me more accessories.
If Nintendo start like re-release like Game Boy Advances and Game Boy Colors and SBs,
they make.
That's
kind of a book off.
Yeah,
Shout out to them. Or if you try to be a real one, fly to Japan. Go to Akihabara, Electric City.
Oh, say that.
Literally any game system your heart can imagine.
Or have them big brain stuff, but. You know, you got to be a little bit pirate. But at a certain point, you can't pirate something if you don't actually own it. But anyway, Go on eBay and find. Go on eBay and find a homebrew version of a Game Boy Color, Game Boy SP. It's usually like a cartridge, and you could play every single game with one cartridge. You know what I'm saying? Big brain stuff.
Great.
Yeah, you could do that with the DS and literally just play anything. You know?
Yeah. I was gonna one last question. Female, who's gonna finish up? If you could have one anime character you collaborate with on anime on a song, who would it be?
That's a good question.
There's so many.
They're actually good at rapping.
Name.
Just one.
Just a name, and that's it. Just quick time.
Okay. I'll say one person I'm not gonna have, like Killer B not invited to the cypher. I'm so sorry, bro. I love him, but like the bars are just not there. I'm so sorry. I don't know if I want to write for him. It's like, no, let me not even say that. Killer B's not it. I respect you, bro, but like, you know what I'm saying? Get back in the lab. You know what I'm saying? We could chop it up. You know, in a few months to a year when you work on your pen a little bit, but that Dabiaru, Komiaru, it's not hitting, bro. I'm so sorry.
Sound like a hater.
He's not him, bro.
Were you gonna say Killer B?
No, I want to rap with Frieza.
Frieza actually low key probably putting out some crazy drill. Crazy.
They wanna rap with a racist? That's crazy, bro.
Right, who's yours?
That's crazy.
I think I would choose Brook from One Piece. I was thinking like what One Piece character. If it was any other One Piece character, I would just have on my ad libs. I would just be like, yo, just laugh on the track, you good.
Okay.
But like Brook, I feel like he can give me a good verse and some ad libs. So yeah, I go with Brook.
I think I'm gonna chop up his name. Mineta from My Hero.
Oh, okay.
Vendetta? Oh, horny ass. Bro. Fire.
Classic.
That's all I gotta say. Now that you say that, the person I would choose, like, it would either be Bakugo or Deku. Y'all remember like 2-3 years ago when people were making those TikToks with like the AI voice drums?
Yes,
I need Deku on the track, bro.
You the drink, bitch. You're not even the cup.
That's my shit right
Hey, that's they might have some. You know what I'm saying? They might have some.
Vegeta's a cup. That means I am the drink.
Just to finish up, one last thing. What's the best way we could, where can we follow? How can we support y'all?
You can find us at ITSFCollective. That is ITSFCollective. You'll find literally everything there. We drop content pretty consistently, and we drop freestyles every single Friday if you want to hear bars. But also, we're getting long form content out soon. YouTube coming, and new album, first album on the way in 2025. So definitely keep it locked for that.
Absolutely. We're going to be documenting a lot of that process. So keep an eye out for it. You're definitely going to want to see what we come up with. There might be some familiar faces. We definitely want to lean more into the collaboration that we've sort of already started, even with, you know, the Almighty Zeus remix. And we were able to collaborate a lot on the stuff we were able to do at Anime NYC this past summer. So as an extension of that, definitely tap in to see what we come out with for next year.
You know what? If I shoot a music video, I just want to be a cameo.
Okay, come through. Big cameo, bro.
That's it. This is
Actually, if we want to be an extra in a music video, we can get that happen very soon, bro. You can have that happen, and please, absolutely.
Hell yeah.
So you're here from the Blur Spot and my co-host
Ron to Riches. Thank you. Appreciate you.
So again, always a pleasure. Make sure you follow If the Shoe Fits Collective. So again, take care. Later.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Peace. If you're rapping, look at this one. Yeah. All right. Say less.
All right. Yep. We good.
Yeah. Break the fourth wall.
Hey.
Shoe boys.
You already know what it is. It's your boys. If the shoe fits.
Coming at you live.
See, I'm ballin' in my white tee.
Yeah.
In my white tee.
Yeah.
In my white tee.
Yeah.
In my white tee.
Posted with the team.
Sometimes you gotta
know I'm
stay
looking
clean.
Got some.
White tee like the Soul Society and Bleach. Let's go.
See, I'm ballin' in my white tee.
Oh, yeah.
In my white tee.
Oh, yeah.
In my white tee.
Oh, yeah.
In my white tee.
Hey.
Posted with the team, and you know I'm looking clean. Got
Right.
some. In my
Shout out them franchise boys for this one, man.
See, I'm ballin' in my white tee.
Okay.
In my white tee.
Okay.
In my white tee.
Okay.
In my white tee.
Posted with the team, and you know I'm looking clean. Got some knots up in my jeans, finna hurt your self-esteem.
See, I'm ballin' in my white tee. In my white tee. In my white tee. In my white tee.
Posted with the team, and you know I'm looking clean. Got some knots up in my jeans, finna hurt your self-esteem.
See, I'm ballin' in my white tee. In my white tee. In my white tee. In my white tee.
Posted with the team, and you know I'm looking clean. Got some knots up in my jeans, finna hurt your self-esteem.
See, I'm ballin' in my white tee.
Night is
Started standing like Nike's on me, help me get me moving to another fight. I secured a baggy denim when I learned to write. Ain't no rapping on my tee, know that you can't touch it, right? Shout out to my seamstress, y'all ain't never seen this. I'm cooking with the mean shit. I slow it like a lean sick, I tuck it in. Going right up front of where you been, where the fuck you been? No, we have to pull up, make the scene. What up? Pop up, shot, poppin', okay. Pockets hot, pop a that's right. Pocket lips to your position, crumble up your past. Right. Pocket Biggie, put him in the blender. What you? What up? Me on the track, white tee on my back, white tee with the pack. Y'all see, never last. Right. Oh, Mo couldn't tell me what to do, kid, cause I thought I was a G, but my tee too big, cause I'm ballin' in my
white tee. In my white tee. In my white tee. In my white tee.
Posted with the team, and you know I'm looking clean. Got some knots up in my jeans, finna hurt your self-esteem.
See, I'm ballin' in my white tee. In my white tee. In my white tee. In my white tee.
Posted with the team, and you know I'm looking clean. Got some knots up in my jeans, finna hurt your self-esteem.
I'm balling in my white tee, tonight it started different. Fit is looking mighty clean, the lifestyle isn't. I don't like to focus on what you call competition. I'm just sipping on some shit, chilling with my niggas, controlling all the stains that might seep into your brain. I don't care about the talk you got, just keep away from me. Niggas like to talk about how everything they get got the freshest sent around, and they never took a whiff. Got some shit, chilling with the team, and we meant for this. Spent the summer grinding, never worry about the cleanliness. Now I'm out here shining and it's ballin' with young niggas wildin', and we tryna make the best of it. I'm ballin' in my white tee, in my ice, Hanes every day. It's a shame when you fight this. POV that ITS bring it to the industry. Mental, never bring it to the industry.
I'm ballin' in my white tee. In my white tee. In my white tee. In my white tee.
Say
Posted with the team, and you know I'm looking clean. Got some knots up in my jeans, finna hurt your self-esteem.
I'm ballin' in my white tee.
Okay,
In my white tee.
okay,
In my white tee.
okay,
In my white tee.
say
Posted
white
with the team, and you know I'm looking clean. Got some knots up in my jeans, finna hurt your self-esteem.
Let me break it down. Yeah. 100 homies stunning is a habit now. So fresh, we ain't never rockin' hand-me-downs. Homie got the hands on them, we ain't playing games.
Ballin' in my
Catch me ballin' in my white tee. Guess that's why they like me, cause it makes so icy. Pointing the directions of the one that need reminding. And with the disrespect, we do not take it lightly. I'm
ballin' in my white.
We can vibe if the aura dope. Be advised if you fly, it's finna set the tone.
Okay.
See the future, I don't need to check no horoscopes. We all gon' be stars.
Man, you know the time is all. See, I'm ballin' in my white tee.
Casio the timepiece, posted with a dime piece.
Who always talking spicy.
Always take the gamble even when it looks unlikely. And we finna dip whenever things are looking dicey.
See, I'm ballin' in my white tee. In my white tee. In my white tee. In my say white tee.
You know I'm looking clean.
Say white tee.
Self-esteem.
Say I'm ballin' in my white tee. In my white tee. In my white tee. In my white tee.
White tee.
White tee.
White tee.
White tee. Yeah.
You just gotta pretend we was wearing white tees for that one. Just
Use
a
your
little-
imagination.
Just it's a proverbial white tee. It doesn't always need to be physical.
Come on,
Exactly.
bro.
We can hit that next one.
Let's go.
Let's do the dance. Make our manager proud.
Question before this drops.
The Almighty Zeus, sorry.
Y'all like anime titties?
Type shit.
They do. It's okay.
The answer was yes. Yeah.
Listen, music is all about connectivity. It's all about trying to elicit an emotion that you hold deep within that you're not 100% sure if other people have felt before, but you know that other people feel it deep inside. And that's really what we're trying to get through here with Almighty Zeus. Because we know that one of the world's most fundamental truths is anime titties. And we want to share that with you, viewer.
We do.
Random viewer at home.
Random viewer at home.
Hey.
Come on,
Hey.
guys.
So we want to teach y'all our dance we have for this. Oh, we gotta shift a little bit to the left. Yeah, shift a little bit.
There we go. Come on.
Here we go.
We got her.
We all fit. We all fit. All right, to the right, to the right.
Anime titties. Big round things. Put
Hey.
in my face with them anime titties. Watching them swing really brighten up my day with them anime titties. Don't know what to say, I just wanna see him shake with them anime titties. They defying physics, you know that I love.
You know I'm getting those bleeds
Every day.
She said she wanna put them double D's
In my face.
I said it ain't a problem if they real or they fake. I'm caught up in a harem, I don't need to escape.
I got what it takes.
She be wildin'
And she know that.
And when we get into it, I can
Settle where to throw that.
Them titties always jumping when she take a little step.
Hey.
Always careful when we talking.
Hey.
Trying to break my neck.
Man, I love them all.
Big boobies and she always gotta move it. Baby, hurry up, you gotta choose a move. Always trying to twerk him in my face while I'm trying to play the game like a nigga couldn't double tap. On my last straw, I'ma eat it like a smoothie. Couldn't find a broad that could hold him back fully. I'ma have a ball like a mouth on a spaldy. Can't fit it all, but that's no problem, cause I love
Anime titties.
Hey.
Big round things.
Won't you put it on my face?
with them anime titties. Watching them swing
Really brighten up my day.
with them anime titties.
Hey.
Don't know what to say, I just wanna see him shake with them anime titties. They defying physics, you know that I love them.
I was at the skate park, minding my business. My system tingle, bitties nearby. I looked around and I saw my blessing. I was like, goddamn, can't believe my eyes. Woo! Jumped from like a son named Dexter. All them lame ass dudes with a stressor. Walked up just real calm, never wrestler. Said I could throw her around like a wrestler.
Yes, sir.
Ain't her know me to be Texas.
Yes,
That's
sir.
just playing with the notes on her breast.
yes, sir.
Said when I come, I'm a stretcher. Vesta said when I come, I'm a extra freaky. How she fuck me? She said, Bobby, squeeze me, tease me, grab me, touch me. If she does me, bet them things stay with me.
What things?
Talking about those anime titties, go!
Anime titties. Big round thing, what you put him in my face?
Anime titties.
Watching them swing really brighten up my day.
Anime titties.
Don't know what to say, I just wanna see him shake.
Anime titties.
They defying physics, you know that I love them all.
Y'all.
Shout out anime titties.
You love them, we love them.
We are If the Shoe Fits. Y'all can find us at ITSFCollective everywhere. Taking over the internet, taking over online, taking over some other thing. Keep it locked. Yeah.
Yeah.
I already know what it is. What's going on?
Big BlerdSpot team.
Shout out BlerdSpot. Shout out
We
BlerdSpot.
out in bricked up. Let's
Hit us
get
up when
it.
y'all need a
Yo.
jingle. We gotta hit him with a jingle. BlerdSpot.
Yeah.
BlerdSpot.
Yeah.
If you are a New York weaving, don't know what to do,
What else?
pull up to BlerdSpot and find out some good news.
Okay.
BlerdSpot.
Hey.
BlerdSpot.
Hey.
Yeah.